Hello and welcome. My name is Meepolis, they, she, he, and this is Literally Graphic. And today I wanted to highlight some Black written picture books about human Black characters, mostly American based, but some international representation. I'm still finding my footing as far as having opinions about picture books. Up until last year's video about queer picture books, it had been a minute since I had picked up a picture book. But that experience was so interesting and fun that I decided to do it more often. Obviously, one should read diversely throughout the year, and that's something I strive to do in general, but in trying to learn more about picture books, I have found it helpful to look at a selection of similar books at a time to compare and contrast. That said, my thoughts are still pretty surface level. Not a booktuber, or even a YouTuber, I thought it appropriate to highlight a few picture book awards that also look to highlight books by Black people about Black. First off, we obviously have the Coretta Scott King Book Award, at least I hope that this is obvious, quote, designed to commemorate the life and works of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and to honor Mrs. Coretta Scott King for her courage and determination to continue the work for peace. The Coretta Scott King Book Award annually recognizes outstanding books for young adults and children by African American authors and illustrators that reflect the African American experience. Further, the award encourages the artistic expression of the Black experience via literature and the graphic arts in biographical, social, and historical treatments by African American authors and illustrators, end quote. The award is administered by the Ethnic and Multicultural Information Exchange Roundtable, and I've posted a link in the description to a list of all the winners from the 1970s to today. Similarly, we have the Children's Africana Book Award, which, quote, are presented annually to the authors and illustrators of the best children's and young adult books on Africa, published or republished in the U.S., Africa Access, and the Outreach Council of the African Studies Association, ASA, created CABA in 1991 to encourage the publication and use of accurate, balanced children's material about Africa. The Center for African Studies at Howard University is the institutional base for the awards. End quote. But now to the topic at hand, the books. First off, we have The Night Is Yours by Abdul-Razak, Zachariah, and Keturah, a Bobo. Published July 2nd, 2019 by Dial Books. I really enjoyed the working class premise and the art was beautiful. 4 stars. Next we have Grandpa Take Me to TNT by Khamini, Leston, and Zakiya, Cayle. I believe this was self-published in 2013. This book came across as pretty unique, and I really enjoyed the enthusiasm. 5 stars. Another 5-star read was Freedom Soup by Tami, Charles, and Jacqueline Alcantara, published December 10th, 2019 by Candlewick Press. I appreciated the emphasis on self-emancipation, immigration, and joy, and the art was also beautiful. Then I picked up Schomburg, The Man Who Built a Library by Carole, Boston, Weatherford, and Eric Velasquez, published September 12th, 2017 by Candlewick Press. The most text-heavy pick for this video, there's a lot to communicate in this short biography about an Afro-Puerto Rican man who uncovered erased Black histories. 4 stars. In contrast, Hands Up by Breanna J. McDaniel and Shane W. Evans was probably the youngest geared picture book I picked up, published January 22nd, 2019 by Dial Books. It doesn't take that many words to serve a full dose of hope through movement. 3 stars. Next, I picked up Just Like Me by Vanessa Brantley-Newton, published January 14th, 2020 by Knopf Books for Young Readers. This book was all about radical acceptance of ourselves and others coming from a Black perspective. 4 stars. Then I read What is Given from the Heart by Patricia C. McKissack and April Harrison, published January 18th, 2019 by Schwartz and Wade Books. A story about a boy and his mother going through hard times and finding joy through generosity and mutual aid. 4 stars. Another 4-star book was The Oldest Student, How Mary Walker Learned to Read by Rita Lorraine Hubbard and Mora, published January 7th, 2020 by Schwartz and Wade. A story that follows a woman's life that spans a lot of history, persevering and overcoming, to say the least. One book I had previously read but wanted to return to was Who's Got Game? The Lion or the Mouse by Toni and Slade Morrison, with pictures by Pascal Lemaitre, published September 9th, 2003 by Scribner. Did you know Toni Morrison wrote a collection of Aesop's Fables retellings with her son? I certainly didn't. 4 stars. Another book I really should have known about was Chicken in the Kitchen by Nnedi Okorafor and Mehrdokht, published September 2015 by Lantana Publishing. Obviously different from the rest of Okorafor's books I have read, but just as good in its own way. It also avoids getting too bogged down in explaining itself to outsiders. 5 stars. Then we have One Day in the Eucalyptus Tree by Daniel Bernstrom and Brendan Wenzel, published May 3rd, 2016 by HarperCollins. A super fun and bouncy romp where a kid outsmarts a snake that's eaten him. 4 stars. Swinging back to 5 stars, we have My Rainbow by Trinity and Deshana Neal, with art by Artwink, published October 20th, 2020 by Cayle. So incredibly adorable. I've actually been following Artwink for a while now on Facebook, but didn't initially realize they had done a picture book. a beautiful story that weaves together intersections of race, autism, and transness into one magical story. Next, we have another very unique book, Freedom in Congo Square, by Carole Boston Weatherford and R. Gregory Christie, published January 5th, 2016 by Little Bee Books. This book highlights the cultural and social gatherings of enslaved and free Black people in New Orleans. 5 stars. Then I read I Am Enough by Grace Byers and Keturah, a Bobo, published January 5th, 2016 by Little Bee Books, published March 6th, 2018 by Balzer plus Bray, a minimalistic story that seems like it would inspire a lot in young readers, with a large dose of effortless inclusion and diversity. 4 stars. Flipping to my next adorable pick, Love is in the Hair by Cyrus Marcus Ware, was published in 2015 by Flamingo Rampant, wherein we follow Carter waiting for the arrival of a new sibling with their 2 gay uncles, talking black hair love. 4 stars. Second to last, I also wanted to highlight A Bedtime Bonnet by Nancy Red and Nneka Myers, published April 7th, 2020 by Random House Books for Younger Readers. Another black hair love story, this time looking at the bedtime routines of a multi-generational household. 5 stars. And last but furthest thing from least, I could not make this video without talking about the 1619 project Born on the Water by Nicole Hannah-Jones and Renee Watson, plus Nicholas Smith on illustrations. Published November 16th, 2021 by Kokila, a beautiful book that hits so many different points, rather perfectly, in my humble opinion, breaking open what it means to be descended from Black people kidnapped into race-based chattel slavery for children. And that's a wrap. I hope you all go out and pick up at least one of these books. Bye y'all, keep reading, and organized end capitalist oppression. And as always, Literally Graphic is recorded on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation. I live here because of British colonization, Indigenous genocide, and more geographically specific, Treaty 13. Also known as the Toronto Purchase, which was finalized in 1805 between representatives of the Crown and certain Mississauga peoples. This treaty was a lie and has since been broken many times over. Saying so reflects only my own small steps towards knowing the truth and does nothing for reconciliation.